contact center leaders come up through the ranks, and even from an agent to QA manager, training, and they're not classically trained or experienced in the business of the business that you talked about. So asking for them to understand the business of the business where they've not had that experience, they've not been trained in that experience, is that a chasm? We spend a lot of time talking about how do we train agents. Should we be equally talking about how we should, as leaders in our organization, should be training our contact center leaders?
Yes, is my answer to all of that. Look, two things I'll touch on here. One, contact center supervisors, functional level leaders do feel like a bit of a lost demographic to me in terms of a lot of enablement and training and support. A lot are kind of left to figure it out, unfortunately. The second part in terms of this idea of do they come up through the ranks or what does that look like? There's really three scenarios, and in most scenarios, there's just real downside. The first scenario is that they do come up through the ranks and they don't have that formal training. And so they lead by whatever naturally manifests inside of them. The second thing that I observe is organizations who bring in leaders who they led at other contact centers. And they're like, hey, they were a contact center leader, so they're clearly going to be successful here. But the reality is most contact centers struggle to articulate their value outside of the contact center. It still doesn't solve the problem. So then the third approach that organizations take is, well, I know, we need somebody who knows the business of the business. And so they get somebody who's really strong performer in another part of the organization. And you know what they say? Steve, today's the day that you begin leading our contact center.
Right.
And Steve has no idea how to lead.
I've interviewed those people on this podcast. They were like, and all of a sudden I'm running the contact center, right?
So the challenge, I think, is the universal one. And I hear a lot that people don't actually use this word, but the way that they describe their time in the contact center is they feel like it's this thing they've fallen into and they need to claw their way out of. That's why I use the chasm term. The term is that it's like for frontline associates, for leaders, for people who inherit, it's like, why me? Why me? And what can I do to get out of here? But to all of the things that we've talked about up to this point in terms of the intelligence that exists there, the opportunity for there to be so much intersection and overlap and service to other departments in the organization actually primes the contact center. I don't care what level you're at in a contact center. It enables anyone who's in the contact center for that time to be a catalyst into really, really cool futures in their career if they position that time in the right way.